Today we're talking about changing direction. When things aren't going to plan and you've hit a dead end and you think, you know what, I need to mix this up. I'm going to have to change because life's simply saying to you, nope, not that way. So let's unpack that one. Hello, I'm Hilary Saxton and welcome to the Bounce Back Better podcast. Oh, I think I said that one in a tone that I usually say for our other podcasts. But anyways, today I'm talking about change. And it's that forced change, or when you make a change because it's going to have a better outcome for you. And it's when you're faced, in some cases, with a life choice. Do we cling to the plan that's in our head, or do we pivot and adapt and adjust and find another way forward? So change isn't always comfortable, is it? We don't always love change. Well, not everybody does. I'm a bit of a change liker, but am I really, or do I just say that? In fact, most of us sort of struggle a little bit because we find it inconvenient to change because it can be a bit messy. And it's usually uninvited, isn't it? We don't always want the changes that we have. So this can apply to anything. Things like your family dynamic, kids coming and going. Many of us have blended families these days. It could be relationships, even if you've got teenage children, and sometimes you get really attached to their partners or current girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever, and then they break up, and that kind of gets a little bit change. I wasn't ready for that. I do know a few people that happened to as they've gotten older, and it's not always fun. So when we learn to pivot instead of panic, we find that change isn't the end of the world. It can be the beginning of something better. And you just never know what change can be. So why does change feel hard? Why do you think it is that we find change difficult? Why do we? Well, let's be honest. Most of us like control, don't we? We like knowing what's coming. We like to plan. We like to know how everything fits together. So when things shift suddenly, that's when, things fall through, and we don't love it. We don't love it when that happens. It throws us off balance. Psychologically, it's because the brain's wired for certainty. Our brains love certainty. It craves predictability. Change feels like danger, even when it's not danger. You look at children, they love doing the same thing over and over. Even a small child, they'll start playing a game and they can do that same thing for hours on end. They like that predictability, even if it's a boo. They just love having that same thing happen over and over. So it begins so early and we get used to it. Our brain likes to know what's coming. It loves that certainty. And so we resist, don't we? We hold on tighter. We say things like, once this settles down, I'll get back on track, or, things will get better. But the truth is, sometimes it isn't about getting back on track. It's about laying down new tracks altogether. Have you ever thought of it like that? Is it time you laid down some new tracks and stopped doing that same thing that isn't actually working? Because here's what I've learned. Every single time I've faced a major change, a major one, whether it was personal or professional or financial, there's been a hidden opportunity in that. I couldn't always see it at the time, but looking back, those pivots were where I grew the most. Change feels hard because it interrupts our story, but that interruption in particular, is often where the magic happens. So sometimes when we're resisting that change, we're resisting our progress forward. We're all experiencing a massive change these days with what's happening with ChatGPT. Jobs, businesses, they are changing non-stop. So let's talk about your pivot. Your pivot isn't giving up. So when you pivot, and it's such a COVID word, isn't it? Pivoting. But it's not about giving up. It's about adjusting direction while you're keeping your purpose the same. I'm going to say that again. The pivot isn't about giving up. It's about adjusting your direction and keeping your purpose the same. In basketball, a player plants one foot down and then spins around on the other. So they're staying anchored, but they're facing new directions. Same thing with netball. If you've ever played netball, you can pivot. You can decide which direction you actually need to go. And that's what we need to do in life. We need to stop and decide, what direction do I need to go if you're stuck in a rut? Because remember, a rut is just a grave with the ends kicked out of it. So do you need some force change that you need to decide is actioned by you? Once you keep one foot grounded, that's your values or your goals or why, and then you look around, you can then change your perspective and see other opportunities. For example, you may have started a business in one niche and then realized it's not actually profitable. So you pivot. You stay in business because you love business, but you serve a different audience, or you change your product. That could be how your changes. So you don't completely change, but you pivot. Or maybe it's a relationship that has stopped growing. You pivot by changing the way you communicate, by setting new boundaries, by, in some cases, maybe not even being in that relationship, or choosing that you both make change so you can, if that's what you want. So it doesn't matter, even in property development or any big career, pivots happen consistently. You change strategy, you find new business partners, you find new partners, you adjust your finance, you scale up, you scale down, you regroup. That's life. That's normal. That's what we need to do in life. Pivoting doesn't mean failure. It means flexibility. And flexibility is, more than anything, the thing that determines how you bounce back better. Because everything that's happening in your life right now offers you an opportunity to do it better. You may or may not know, I'm off to New York this afternoon and to get some Stevie Awards, to collect 4, whether I'm first, second or third. I'm actually collecting 5 because I won another one, but I'll get that over there. But the reason I did that was to put myself forward, to show up in a way that I don't normally show up, to give myself recognition. And that's me changing something I don't often do. I don't often push myself, or I often push myself, don't get me wrong, but I don't often put it out there. It's something I do inside, and I'm ticking my own recognition box. So I'm changing my behavior with this by telling people that I'm doing it, and I don't normally. And I'm just seeing how, first of all, I'm seeing how uncomfortable it does make me. I'm very uncomfortable, believe it or not. But I'm pushing myself to do it because I know it's making me grow. And that's what I always want. I want to grow. So I'm pivoting my actual behavior. So is there an area of your life that you can make that change? Something like that, like just changing your own personal behavior to do something different, to create a different outcome so you can bounce back better. So it's about learning to adapt, really, isn't it? And I'm learning to adapt to doing that. There are some great examples. Think about Netflix. They started out mailing out DVDs, and when the market shifted, they pivoted to streaming. Then they pivoted again, creating their own content. Or Apple, in the early 2000s, they were just a computer company, and they shifted to personal tech, phones, tablets, wearables, and the rest is crikey history. I'm surrounded by Apple right now. I've got 3 Apple laptops sitting right in front of me. I've got, the iPhone. So they've definitely impacted me by the way they chose to adapt and pivot. So you don't need to be $1 billion brand, though, to necessarily pivot. But you just got to remember that in your own time, in your own life, when something that you work toward or work on isn't working out, then it's okay to change it. Then it's probably advised to change it. It could be time that you make that change and be okay with that. Change is okay, as long as you don't consistently chop and change and don't achieve anything. But changing so you can achieve what it is that you want is definitely beneficial. It's about stopping that resistance to change. And there is a great saying by Marty Wilson: I haven't come this far to only come this far. I love that saying because it's about to keep going. Sometimes we have to change what we're doing so we can progress. That's how he uses it. But it's just a fabulous saying. I haven't come this far to only come this far. Just keep doing it. Keep striving to go and become the person that you want to be. So we often get changes that we don't want, but as we know, they do often turn into amazing things. So sometimes the universe is just giving us a wee nudge, and other times it gives us a full-blown kick in the pants. But either way, we are meant to be on the move. And if you're stagnant, then have a think about why. And maybe it's time you did some change. So how do you pivot gracefully? How do you actually gracefully pivot without feeling like you've lost everything? Well, here are 4 steps. that I've seen work time and time again. One, pause before you panic. Okay, pause. Number one, pause before you panic. When something falls apart, it's instinct to make it better. Instead, maybe just breathe. Let the dust settle. Clarity comes when your emotions calm down. When we're emotional, we can't be clear about anything. So let the emotions calm down and become clear. Number two, ask better questions. Instead of, why is this happening to me? Ask, what could this be teaching me? Or where might this lead instead? It's those small shifts that open up new possibilities. Number three, anchor to your own values. You know what you value. Just because you're pivoting and changing doesn't mean you're changing what you value. They are the planted foot. Remember with the basketball or netball when you spin around, they keep you steady while you can change direction. And if a new opportunity doesn't align with what truly matters to you, then it's not the right one for you because you've calmed down enough to recognize it. You didn't just knee-jerk reaction and jump into something. And then take imperfect action. I'm so good at this. That is my forte, imperfect action. I put my hand up, so that's number 4. Don't wait for certainty. Don't wait for the ducks to line up. You'll figure out your new path as you walk it. Things will just unfold. And they'll become very, very obvious. Most people never find the next door because they're too busy staring at the one that's closed. So you've got to keep going without worrying about having it all figured out. You don't have to have the next step mapped. You just need to get started and take that imperfect action. So what were they again? Pause before you panic. Ask better questions, anchor to your values, and take imperfect action. And when change is forced on you, what do? You just have to accept or change. So you just have to do it. Sometimes change isn't a choice. Sometimes it's just a thing. We just have to do it. A job will end. A partner leaves. The market shifts. Something happens that makes you feel completely out of control. That is life. It happens. But in these moments, you can either fall into victim mode or you can practice resilience. Because when you start looking for what's next instead of reflecting on constantly what's lost, your energy changes. Yeah, your energy will change when you look at what's next. So just think, what is next, not what is lost. And you start to see options that you didn't even know were there. It so reminds me of a speech I just did for Toastmasters. People come to you with answers to questions you haven't even asked yet. That happens so often once you start taking that imperfect action. I often tell people when one door closes, stop staring at it, turn around. There's probably a whole new corridor full of doors just in the other direction. Go for it. So if you're in a season where things aren't going your way, or maybe there's a project stall, or life's plans have changed and everything just feels a little uncertain, remember you have the power to pivot. Okay, you have the power. Pivoting isn't a setback. It's a skill. It's a signal that you're adaptable, capable, and you're in the game. And why not, why not you? You can do it. Don't stay stuck in that rut. It just shrinks your childhood dreams into adult routines, and we call it safety. And it's not. It's actually slowly stealing your spark. So people who bounce back best are the ones who change. They just face change and they just go with it. They're the ones who let change break their stride. If they're stuck in a stride, that's actually not working. So whatever your shift is right now, whatever it is that you need to change, just take that big, deep breath, plant your foot, pivot, and think, you know what? I've got this. So thanks for listening this week. 2 things. Remember, I'd love for you to share this podcast. And the other thing, text a friend and tell them how amazing they are. I will talk to you soon. I actually think this might be episode 100. If it is, well, we're getting very close to contacting Gary Vee. Well, I hope you got something out of it. I hope if change is facing you or you are facing change, you're going to just embrace it and go forth. I'll catch you next week. Bye.